So in the last video, we basically did a playback session where we had to listen to all the tracks that we recorded. We made some mental notes in terms of how many takes we have and some areas that might give us problems. And in this video, what I thought I would do is quickly go over some of the editing tools that I like to use on a regular basis. And although I'm in Studio One, most of these editing tools are something that you would find in most DAWs that you're working with. Okay, so first off, one thing that you're going to see me do a lot is zoom in and out. So I might do something like, pull down my timeline so I can zoom things. I might do what I like to call a horizontal zoom, where I go like this. And I've also got some macros programmed because I'm working in Studio One, which allow me to do things very quickly, like, for example, this macro over here, where I can zoom both vertically and horizontally to the full length of my session. And then I've got some steps set up here where I can quickly go between different sizes and I can really quickly move in and out of my session. Now, something else you might see me do is I've got this magnifying tool shortcut, which just allows me to zoom to a specific selection of audio, and then a single click pulls me back out. Now, other DAWs have things like this as well. For instance, I could marquee select these audio regions over here, and then just make a selection over here so that I can see just what it is that I want to work with. And that can work whether I use one track or as many as I need. Now, another thing that you're going to see me do here is you're going to see me do some jumps in terms of the way I zoom. So I can do some single zooms, which would be equivalent to a Pro Tools T&R shortcut. In Studio One, that's W and E, which allows me to zoom like this. And then, of course, I can pair that with a horizontal zoom. But I've also got some macros programmed. For instance, if I wanted to focus on this specific section and I wanted to go in really quickly, I might do something like that, which is just skipping some steps here, and it's allowing me to zoom in more coarse steps. Now, some other things that I do on a regular basis over here is you might see me do something like this, where I trim a region or an event back. Or I can drag in some fade handles, or I can just adjust my event gain or clip gain, as some other DAWs may refer to it as. Now, when it comes to editing automation, you might see me do something like this, where I'll choose a color here, and then start making some selections and bringing some stuff down as I need to. And then, of course, I can just move across everything like this. Or I might be doing things like this, where I can curve my automation points to get a better suited envelope for what I'm working with. Now, some other pretty common things that I like to do is I like to make a selection of something and then I'll end up breaking it. But one of the things I like to pair that with is when I'm working with audio and I'm trying to align things. If I was trying to really tightly align something, I might pair that with a slip audio command, which in Studio One basically allows you to slip the audio within your cut points. So for example, I could just zoom in really quickly here, and I might want to align these two a little bit better. So I would just slip this until that's aligned the way I want. Now, something else you'll see me do is I quite often like to do a data zoom. Now, what a data zoom is it allows you to see more resolution of the waveform, but it's not necessarily bringing the volume up. Now, in Studio One, we have this little short slider down here, which allows you to do things like this. And in Pro Tools, you have those commands as well, and in Logic. Now, I've got this mapped out to a macro again, where I can quickly step through coarse steps just like this, and then return back to my default state. So if I'm editing or comping vocals, or I'm trying to work on things where we have a breath or something and I need more resolution, that's something that you'll see me do as well. Now, other than that, I pretty much like to leave the Smart tool on at all times. And what this allows me to do is have different areas of my cursor respond to different actions on the GUI. So for example, if I go to the top here, this is a fade. If I go to the side here, this becomes a trim tool. And if I go to the top over here, I have a marquee selector. And if I go to the bottom, I have kind of a lasso selection where I can select across multiple events. And then anytime that I double click, I'm able to split those. So these come in really handy when you start pairing them together. So for example, I could take something like this or make a marquee selection over here, maybe even make it across two tracks and then double click to break. And then I could select these, delete them. I could trim both of these back if I wanted to, make some edit points, and these respond across all of these as well. So I can do them across multiple events. So these are some of the things that you're going to see me doing on a regular basis. So if my screen's jumping around or I'm hopping in and out of my edit points really quickly, like this, or backing off and increasing my data zoom or decreasing it, That's the reason. And these are the editing tools that I like to use. And these are pretty much common in most DAWs these days. Other than that, when it comes to any vocal comping, you'll see me do stuff like this, which is pretty much the way that lots of DAWs handle this, stuff like Logic. Pro Tools has a slightly different way of dealing with this, but I'm going to be going over concepts more than workflows that are specific to this DAW. But I'm sure by the end of this series, you'll see why I've chosen this DAW and how streamlined it is for vocal production. So anyways, in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to come up with a game plan, and we're going to go over kind of an order of things and how we want to attack this session and where to start. So I'll catch you in the next video.